Missed you
Here's
too.
like
No.
a hug.
Virtual hugs. Yeah.
One. This is Bronnie, every Wednesday from 6 p.m. The Bronnie Show on KCC Live.
Guys, I am joined here with one of my favorite ever people, my great friend and an amazing fellow musician, Leo Freire.
Yo, yo, Bronnie in the house.
Oh my god. Yeah, so dude, we met. It was when you were drumming for Wheatus on the Busted Arena tour in 2016.
Epic. SSC Hydro Liverpool. Yes,
Mhm.
I remember very well. It was awesome. Had a
Oh,
really good.
it was great. Yeah,
That
five years of friendship. You know what they
I
say? If you're friends with someone for over 10 years, that's a lifelong friendship. So we're halfway there.
halfway there. That's okay. Good. I believe in us. I think we got another 5 years
Yes,
in the
we
cards.
got this. Totally.
Wow. Killing it with your alien mug. I love it.
I know. I made a coffee especially for this. I should have had like a whiskey on the rocks instead, because that reminds me more of you. That's like your drink.
Oh
But
wow.
a coffee it
Remember?
is.
Cute. Nice work. Love it. I'm impressed. Yeah.
So welcome to the Bronnie Show. So how are you doing?
Doing really good. I'm talking to you guys live from NYC, New York City.
Oh yeah.
Currently springtime.
So
Yeah.
why don't you tell the listeners more about yourself? So where are you based right now? Where did you grow up? And tell them everything about what you do.
Amazing. All right, guys. Hey, Bronny fans around the world, Bronny listeners. I've been a fan of Bronny for a number of years now, and I like to follow up with what she's doing. I'm also a fan of Mark, so I'm very much in the loop with the whole circle, which is great. I'm originally from Brazil. I'm a musician. I play drums, piano. I play some guitar. I like to sing as well. I also produce music, and I also am a music director for artists who are going on tour. So I like to help artists build a show for live purposes. One of my favorite things to do. But I met Bronnie about 5 years ago, as she said, when I was touring England for the second time with Wheatus, which is a band I've worked with since 2015. And we're all based in New York City. The band is originally from Long Island, but we do all rehearsals in New York City, and we do our tour prep from here. So, yeah, and with Wheatus, I guess it's been 6 years already, 2015. Yeah, so 6 years ago I started drumming for Wheatus, and here we are ever since.
Yeah.
I should add that I'm originally from Brazil, born in Brasilia, Brazil. But I've lived in New York since 2004, so it's been a number of years since I've been based in the United States. Although I do try to go to Brazil twice a year. And as a
Amazing.
typical Brazilian, I have to be into football. Like, it's my favorite sport. I like to play it. Actually, last week I was playing football with some friends and I scored a bicycle kick. So
Oh
sometimes I'm
wow.
pretty good at football, yeah.
Loving that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. So
yeah,
growing up, did you have like a musical family, or how did you get into music? Who did you
yeah.
look up to?
I have no musicians in the family, like zero. I'm like the black musical sheep of the family, which is great. Well, it's both good and bad, right? Like growing up, well, in fairness, my parents like music a lot. Like my dad loves singing karaoke, and he loves to blast music around the house.
Love
So I
it.
think from a young age, I always listened to music, which was a lot of fun. And actually, I remember the first artist I got really into was Michael Jackson, because one day I happened to find the Michael Jackson double album for History, which came out in like 1995. That was his second to last full length album, which was both a greatest hits collection and a new album. And I found it in the house one day. I don't even know like what made me listen to it, but like I found it, and maybe my dad was listening to it or something like that. And I got like obsessively into it. Like, I don't know what it is about the MJ impact. Like a lot
Oh,
of
it's
kids,
insane.
right? Like a lot
Yeah.
of kids dress up like MJ and imitate him and do the dance moves and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I got like obsessively into MJ, so much so that at the time I was like 6 years old. Um, my dad was working in Tokyo, Japan. Like what? What? How does it make any
Wow.
sense? My growing up, we moved around a lot because my dad works for the Brazilian government. So we were living in Tokyo, Japan at the time, and in Tokyo, I got into Michael Jackson. I listened to him a lot, and one day my dad told me that Michael Jackson was coming to town to play at Tokyo Dome. So I'm like, what? And he got us tickets. So I'm like, what? This is amazing! Oh my god! And that was the first concert I ever went to. And
Oh, what a first gig. That is amazing.
in many
Wow.
ways, it's all been downhill from there. Because how could you beat Michael Jackson, you know? Yeah. But I had an amazing time, and I still remember it like incredibly vividly. You know, I remember being like a child, like singing along to all the songs, and like looking over to my parents, being, "Come on, sing!" You know.
Yeah. Dude, that's
So,
insane.
so that was my first concert ever, and Michael Jackson was probably my first favorite artist as well. You know, so I'm a big fan. I followed his career for many years.
Mhm.
I have all the books about him. I have his autograph on my wall. Like I bought in
Wow.
my house an autograph for me to hang on the wall. You know, um, and I was very much looking forward to having a second opportunity to see MJ.
Mm,
And then, of course, the This Is It tour did not happen. So.
no. My kind of claim to fame is I met so when I went to Lipper, a guy I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but the musician who did the piano piece of Man in the Mirror on the
Greg
This Is
Phillips.
It tour, and well, obviously it didn't happen, but
Oh,
and his funeral, he came in and he was just telling us about, you know, how obviously how nervous he was because he was literally about to play the Man in the Mirror piano piece. And
yeah.
he was just like, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. But yeah,
Wow.
he was amazing.
Yeah.
So last year something pretty cool happened to you. So tell us all about Brian May. What happened there?
All right, right,
Yeah.
okay. So, in addition to Michael Jackson, one of my other huge favorite bands of all time is Queen. I think I'm even wearing a Queen shirt today, like Queen, what?
Yeah, I remember seeing on your Facebook, was it a Halloween party or something? You went dressed as Freddie
Oh, it's
Mercury.
Freddie, yes.
Loved it,
That was
loved
a
it.
pretty good one. That was a pretty good one, yeah. But, so Queen, I've been a big fan of Queen since I was, I don't know, like 10 or 11. I was always one thing about me is I've always been fascinated by live concerts, right? Like
Hmm.
I grew up watching a lot of live concert DVDs, and one of them was Queen's 1986 Wembley show. Not the Live Aid one, but the one that
Hmm.
followed Live Aid a year later. Like once Queen played Live Aid, they got a big boost of popularity, and they put together a world tour, which was a rebirth for the band. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's and there's a famous DVD of them playing Live Aid, which turned out to be their last world tour ever because Freddie ended up getting sick and so on and so forth. But anyway, last year, in the middle of lockdown, I think it was like March, I want to say. No, maybe April. Like April 2020, New York is locked down. Everyone's freaking out because the hospitals are getting flooded. All the gigs got canceled out of the blue. Like the last show that I played was in March 17th that year. Um, and then the following week, it's like, yep, everything's canceled. Like I had all these gigs booked. I had some Wheatus touring booked for later in the year. Cancel,
Hmm.
cancel, cancel, cancel. And they were like, yeah, you can't leave the house. So here's some government money for you to stay in the house, and goodbye. And it's like, oh, okay, well, hopefully this will last like a month. But then that month turned into 2 months and 3 months, 6 months, and a year. Like it ended up never ending until now, finally. But in the middle of lockdown, I remember like trying to find things to do because there's only so much you could do being at home by yourself. Like I live by myself. I don't have any
Hmm.
roommates. I don't live with my parents. My parents actually live. My mom and sister live in Brazil. My dad lives in Africa. Like so, no
Right.
family nearby.
Yeah.
So I'm by myself at the apartment. And one day, like I remembered, maybe like a year before, seeing a video of of a bass player playing along to a drum video of Dave Grohl, right? Like
Hmm.
it was like a funny internet video or whatever. And I remember thinking, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, he's playing along to a synced video of a famous musician or whatever. And then in the middle of lockdown, I noticed that Brian May was posting very introspective videos from his giant like London flat, this giant home that he owns there or whatever, where he would say, "Yeah, folks, it's sad to see that our liberties are being taken away from us," and whatever, like just a lot of like introspective talk. Like I could tell he was a little in his head. Um, But as part of those talks, he would do like little guitar play-alongs of Queen songs. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the first ones that he did was of a song called "Keep Yourself Alive," which is off the first Queen record. Um, and then I remember thinking to myself, wouldn't it be amusing if I created a video that made it look like I was Skyping with Brian May and like jamming in real time, like in this wave of Zoom and pandemics and whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And I did it, and no one, definitely no one in the Queen world had done it yet. Maybe some people were messing around with that idea in other places, but you know, that concept as itself, like of doing a jam as if you're zooming with a celebrity, was something that I hadn't really seen in the capacity that I put together. So I did it at home on my little electronic drum kit. After after I did it, I sent the private video before I posted it online to a few friends, and they were like, "What? What is this? What? How did this happen?" Everyone was freaking out, and I realized that okay, this idea had potential, you know. So what would happen if I just posted it on my Instagram, tagged the Queen page, and tagged Brian May, and said like, let's see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
So I posted it, and immediately, like, people in my private followers liked it a lot, and they were like bugging out, like, what is this, what, how, you know, all these questions. But I after like maybe 2 days, it seemed like the whole thing was dying out. Like I got a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, but ultimately I was hoping for the Queen people to see it, right? So I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's see what happens. I waited a few days, and I remember maybe like on the third day getting like seeing my Twitter blow up like
Mm.
notification. I was like, what's going on? And I saw that the official Queen page ended up sharing my video. So I'm like, oh
Wow.
wow, that's amazing, cool. And all these people, some people believe that I was actually jamming with Brian May on Zoom. You know, they were like, what? Oh,
Love it.
and many people like complimented Brian, saying, "Oh wow, look at how cool Brian is." You know, for uh, I love the internet, like all those kind of generic,
Yeah, yeah.
comments and stuff like that. But what I was really hoping for was for Brian May's account to, for me to know that he saw the video,
Mm-hmm.
and for him to possibly like share it or post it on his stories or whatever. Um, and a day after the Queen thing happened, I remember talking to a few Queen fans that I met on Instagram who had seen it on Twitter, and they
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh yeah, Brian will definitely see it." In fact, like one of the girls was followed by Brian, like she knew him personally, or she'd been to a bunch of.
Wow.
So a few hours later, I got the notification that Brian May for real shared your account or tagged Leo.
Dude.
And I was like, what? Oh my God, what's going on? Crazy. Um, and of course, like I felt very honored because I think I was the first account that he tagged. He went on to tag a few other accounts later as he saw that people were really into the idea of him sharing an unknown musician with his profile and all that stuff, you
Yeah.
know. But it was awesome because like Queen is one of my favorite bands, you know, and I really do hope to meet Brian May one day. And I feel that given that we have this unique little quirky experience, that if I went up to him and I said, "Hey man, remember during lockdown when you shared the video of that guy drumming along to your guitar video?"
He'll
He would
totally
remember.
remember you.
He'll remember, right? It was unique
Yeah.
enough history that, those things don't happen like randomly, like they have to
Mm-hmm.
be so specific, and I was happy that the stars aligned for it to happen then.
Dude,
Uh,
that's massive. That is so cool.
Yeah, and actually, following up on that idea, Brian May encouraging other people to play along to his video as well in a more formal capacity, and it ended up leading to like I don't know over 1,000 videos of people playing along to Brian May, jamming with Brian May.
Love
So I
it.
felt like I had a small contribution in creating a little
Totally.
movement, that
Yeah.
people enjoyed, and it was also during a time when things were pretty bad around the world. Like I got a lot of
Totally.
messages from people in countries all over the world, Australia, all over Europe, South America, North America, and many people thanking me, saying, "Oh wow, thank you so much for the inspiration. Your video made my day. I wish you much positivity in New York." So for a small moment, it felt like the world came together for 1 minute.
Totally. No,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome. And I guess like, all the hard work you've put in to, all your instruments and learning everything, and obviously being a massive fan of Queen, that's just the, cherry on the cake, isn't it?
Totally, and like I love it when genuine fans have a like an experience like that, and with me with Queen, like I'm a huge Queen fan. I also have Queen's autograph on my wall, like I have a Night at the Opera
Love it.
vinyl signed by all of them that I bought because I like it was important for me to have that piece of Queen on my wall as a reminder of the inspiration they've given me,
Mhm.
Um, and following the Brian May experience, I also made a poster of the Cher that he made, and I put it on my wall as well.
Yes. Oh, that's a great memory.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I was in when was it? I think I was 14, 15. Me and Mark went to see We Will Rock You in
Cool.
the West End, the musical. And it was just like a Thursday night, I think, just normal. And Brian May on the last song came on stage and did the massive guitar solo of Bohemian Rhapsody, and everyone was like, "What?" And the cast didn't know. No one knew. It was just he was in town, and he was free that night, so he was like, "Oh, come on and play." So that's a great memory I have of him.
That's so cool. Yeah. I really want to meet him one day. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
One day.
Yeah. If I'm gonna go to his book signing or something, or I'll go to his
yeah.
event. Like he's also an astrophysician or astrophysics PhD.
Mhm.
So maybe one day he'll be doing a conference on astrophysics, and I'll show up. Like I don't know.
That'll be your in.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
Amazing. So we are about to play our first game. This is the Would You Rather Musician Edition.
Would you rather? 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 Would you rather eat my shit or free?
So I'm going to ask you 3 would you rather questions, and there's no wrong answer. So let's go. So number 1, would you rather never play an instrument again or never sing and songwrite ever again?
It's a tough one. Because I'm an instrumentalist,
Mhm.
it was hard, but I think I would say I would prefer to never sing and songwrite.
That is fair, yeah. Right.
So, like, I also love playing covers, and I also love like playing other people's music, and for me to not be able to do that anymore would be like tricky. Even though, tricky, but yes, that's my choice.
Amazing. So number 2 is, would you rather play sold out 50 cap rooms all over the world in crazy intimate venues, and you can play whenever, or play stadiums around the world, but you can only play 5 times a year?
I would do stadiums 5 times a year for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Totally.
There's just something about from my experience, I've played all the small towns in England, and I've played actually pretty much all the arenas in England at this point too. But yeah, like given that I grew up with the vision of watching legendary concerts and seeing tens of thousands of people, those are still my favorite gigs. Yeah, so stadiums a year.
Great answer. So this is a good one. You can only listen to 1 decade's worth of music forever. What decade are you gonna pick?
Okay, I think it would be the 90s. Yeah.
Ooh, how come?
Which is actually, that goes against Queen in many ways, so that sucks. No, but it would be the 90s because I grew up in the 90s decade. That's the kind of music that I listened to a lot. And I also feel like the 90s were a golden age for so many different genres. You had the golden age of hip hop, you had the golden age of alternative rock or pop punk, perhaps, right? You had the golden age of like boy bands.
Totally.
And actually, many of Michael Jackson's records that I love came out in the 90s. I love his Dangerous album that came out in the 90s. History came out in the 90s. So, although it was a different style of songwriting and style of production, yeah, I'd be cool with the 90s. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think I'm the same, for sure. And speaking of the 90s, do you know what? I have a feeling that this was the last time we hung out. I think it was when I was on tour in America in December 2018, I think. And I had a few days off. So we went to New York, we hung out. I think we went out for dinner or something. And then you took us to that club. And it was like a back to the 90s kind of night, wasn't it?
It was. So you were here. That was during the summer because I remember it being
was it
hot.
summer? Ah, okay.
It was summer like 2018 or something like that.
Oh, it must have been then.
Before. Yeah, but I remember that was a lot of fun. my friend Charlie Z, who's this drummer in New York, he runs one of my favorite live shows in the city, which is a '90s band called the Fresh Kids of Bel Air, and they put together a very entertaining like best of '90s and best
So
of early
good.
2000s show. Yeah, with like costume changes. I've actually subbed as a drummer for that show a few times, and I had a blast.
Oh,
Like
awesome.
yeah, like getting to play Lit and getting to play Blink 182, Sum 41. And what actually one of the reasons how I got into drumming was because when I was in middle school, that's the kind of music I would listen to. Like a
Hmm.
lot of pop punk and like so many of those songs had a very formative impact and on the kind of music I would first play. Right? Like I listened to a lot of Michael Jackson, I listened to a lot of Queen, but I didn't really play that kind of music because I was too
Hmm.
young. I only started playing when I was 13 years old. So yeah, 90s music gives me good memories.
Amazing. Oh, for sure. So you are currently in New York. So have you been able to, recently get back into the studio or play any gigs lately?
Yeah, yeah. So actually throughout the lockdown, my a lot of people reached out to me asking if I would consider producing them. And over the past year or so, I've been involved in like 11 or 12 single releases, which I was really
Congrats.
happy about. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I was really happy about because I really like to produce, and I've been longing for opportunities to like dive into production. I have a home studio setup that I invested in that I practiced for like maybe 2 years before the pandemic. I was doing a lot of just practicing production and learning how to do it. Learning how to record vocals, learning how to record different instruments, and I love to analyze music. As a I also went to college for music, so
Mhm.
I did the whole music education background and all that. But one of my hobbies was always to like listen to music in detail and understand what it is that made music cool.
Mhm.
So I think having that analytical mindset towards music facilitated my entry into production. That and also just being good at instruments. Like if you know how to play an instrument, like that's already a huge help when it comes to production because you know like what it's meant to be sound like and all that.
Totally.
Um, and also having toured and worked with experienced touring bands, I'm also familiar with the standard that it takes to be competitive professionally.
Mhm.
So for the past year here in the city, I've had a lot of fun producing a lot of artists in pop, rock, hip hop, even like Latin a little bit. Like Latin pop. Yeah, so that was definitely one of the unique benefits of being on lockdown. It required everyone to transition to different types of creation modes, and
Mhm.
instead of creating live shows, people focus on creating new music, new recordings. So that was really cool. And actually, in November 2020, I did play one show in I want to say like no, Connecticut. That's what it was. We played a show in like the
Awesome.
outskirts of Connecticut. Someone hired me to play in their metal band, and we
Love it.
played in like a small like industrial. It was kind of Trump America,
Yeah.
Connecticut. People weren't
Oh my
really
god.
wearing masks or anything like that. And it was surprisingly warm for November, so
Mm.
we were able to play outside, and it wasn't freezing and all that. But it was a lot of fun. It ended up being great. Luckily, no one got COVID miraculously. Like I was
Mhm.
so surrounded by people without masks that I was like, oh God, there's
Yeah.
like a 10% chance I'm gonna get COVID from this.
Mhm.
But luckily, no one got anything. Yeah. And actually, now the economy in the United States has been opening up pretty quickly, which is
Mhm.
great. And Wheatus just announced the band's first tour since spring 2019. We're actually
Yeah. Tell us more about that.
yeah, we're actually going to be doing a tour of the United States in the month of July for 1 month. We were invited to be a part of a tour called Summerland 2021, which is organized by a '90s band called Everclear, an American '90s band. Um, and they invited three other bands to be a part of a four-band package, including Hoobastank, what, Living
Love it.
Color, what, and Wheatus, right? So we're gonna do an opening set, but we're playing some pretty big venues, so which I was happy to see. It looks like we're playing 3 to 6,000 capacity rooms, so
That's gonna be great. Wow.
yeah, large amphitheaters through small arenas. Mostly through the Midwest of the United States, but we have one date in New York, we have a date in Boston, we have a date in Chicago, and then we head south towards like Texas and Alabama and et cetera, et cetera. So
Oh,
I'm really
you're gonna
looking
have so
forward
much
to it.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. it's going to be a bit unique from a Wheatus touring point of view. Also, that we're going to have a lot of days off, which I'm really excited.
Right, yeah.
Our schedule in the UK and Europe can be very intense. Like
Oh, it is
sometimes,
full on. I think every time I see Brendan, he is literally ill. He's like sneezing
yeah.
everywhere and coughing.
Oh God, I know.
He'll be able to
Yeah,
have a little relax couple of days then off.
totally. Yeah, whenever we're in the UK, we do like 15 days in a row of shows,
Mhm.
shows, and then we have one day off, and then shows. So for this tour, we're doing 19 shows in 30 days or something like that so far, which is great. So there is going to be a lot of driving. One thing people don't immediately realize is America is like a geographic country, right? So some of those drives that you do are like 10 hours long, you know? Like,
Oh, totally.
we do like one 10-hour drive in Europe to get from like England to Germany or something like that.
Mhm.
But aside from that, it's mostly 3-hour drives, 4-hour drives, 2-hour drives, maybe 6-hour drives like when you're heading all the way north to Scotland or whatever.
Mhm.
But in America, given the geographic magnitude of what you're dealing with, things are a bit more widespread,
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah, there's gonna be some more driving, but we'll be on a bus, so hopefully we'll. I'm gonna bring a microphone. I'm gonna try to record on the bus. I'm gonna play some video games on the
Awesome.
bus. All good. Yeah.
That'll be fun. So, how
Yeah.
did you meet Brendan? And then, how did you start playing for Wheatus?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So back in 2015, I was in my last semester of grad school, studying music education,
Mhm.
and I had been working with different bands in the New York area, trying to play out as much as possible. I was also trying to be active on social media, like posting videos of me drumming in different clubs and all that. I remember when Instagram used to be 15 seconds long, so I would find like the
Yeah.
best 15-second clip, and
Throwback.
right? And eventually it went to 30 seconds and whatever. But one day I got a message on my Facebook for Leo Freire Music, which is my account. And I got a message from a guy named Brendan B. Brown, who I didn't know who he was. And he said something along the lines of, "Hi Leo, I'm currently looking for a drummer for some recording and touring through 2015. We're doing about 40 shows. Is this something you'd be interested and available for?" And I remember being like, huh, Brennan B. Brown, Wheatus. And believe it or not, like, because I grew up, when I was in middle school, I was living in Brazil.
Mhm.
Wheatus wasn't actually that big of a band there, including Teenage Dirtbag. So I have to say that I didn't really know the band. Like, I didn't know
Right.
what Wheatus was. I was like, oh, I see he's in a band called Wheatus. But cool. It seems like they tour. And I was really excited for an opportunity to tour on a bigger scale, especially considering I was about to finish grad school. It was my last semester. Like the timing couldn't have been better.
Totally.
Um, it essentially would have involved like landing a music job right after graduating, with no gaps. I'm like, wow, this could be really cool, awesome. And then I remember calling a friend of mine and telling him that, hey, some guy from a band called Wheatus just hit me up. You know anything about them? And he was like, dude, Teenage Dirtbag, the fuck? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, Teenage Dirtbag, all right. And then I realized they were a band from Long Island, so they were from New York, et cetera,
Mhm.
et cetera. But the funny thing was that Brendan sort of cold messaged me like out of the blue. Like we had maybe two mutual friends in common, but I never had met him in person.
Mhm.
I never had been to a Wheatus show or anything like that. It was completely by chance. Although I do have to say that this band that I knew of in New York called Late Cambrian. I
Mhm.
remember when they went on tour in Europe opening for a band called Wheatus. And then I realized,
Right.
oh, it's Lake Cambrian, the band that Lake Cambrian opened for,
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that connection right there. And later Brendan told NYC drummer in the search on Facebook, like completely random,
Mhm.
and my profile was the first one to appear. I think because I had a mutual friend with him and the guys in Lake Cambrian.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so even though we didn't really like know each other, I was benefited by the mutual friend algorithm, possibly.
Totally.
And I remember like going to meet Brendan. He gave me an initial 5 songs to learn, which I had about 6 days to really practice for. And we had audition number one with Brendan and Matthew, the band's bass
Mhm.
player. And it went for like maybe 6 or 7 hours. Like we played through the songs, we chatted, whatever. And I remember maybe Brendan was keeping his poker face or whatever. Like as soon as we finished the idea, he's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we're really looking for a kind of player that has a really big attention to detail and learns the songs exactly like they are on the record." And I don't know yet that you've proven to me that you could be that guy. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So we agreed to reconvene in a couple of weeks, and I took the opportunity to learn some of the band's more obscure and advanced material. Like some of the songs that are harder to play on drums and whatever. And I remember like learning a song called "The Fall in Love" off of the Wheatus Valentine LP, and I sent it to Brendan, and it immediately like the tone in our conversation changed. He said something along the lines of, "Dude, that is very impressive. Your relaxation is way more precise, and like I can tell that something has changed in your playing." And the other thing he said was that your focus on this has been inspiring. Do you want to come in for another round of auditions in the next couple of days? So I was like, okay, cool. Let me look at my school schedule. When I came back in, and we did a second round of auditions, and that one was probably the best one yet because like I was a lot more comfortable with the material. I had also learned some complicated material to show off my skills and whatever. But after that, we still had another 2 rounds of auditions. It was like,
Right.
wow. We had 4 rounds of audition in total, where we played. Each of them was for about 7 or 8 hours. And I remember after for the final round of auditions, I left thinking that I didn't really perform my best. I was like, damn. And Brendan, and this again could be the poker face in him. He said something along the lines of, "Hey, I just want you to know that no matter what, it's been an honor knowing you, and that I would love to hire you to do some recording sessions, whether you become the drummer for us or not. Like I want you to know that I consider you a collaborator for life." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever. But we really need to make a decision. And either way, like all the best out there, okay? It's been great to know you." So I'm like, what the hell? Like, I
Yeah.
guess and I remember thinking that, damn, like after all that effort, because I really spent like a lot of time to work on the audition. And I remember the next day I had to wake up at like 7 a.m. to be in school because I was in the middle of the school semester.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire day, I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe it. It's over. I'm not going to get the gig.
Oh.
Yeah, which was so like disappointing. I remember like, but then out of the blue, a few days later, I get an email from Brendan saying something along the lines of, "Hey, please learn the following 20 songs." And I was like, what the heck? Okay. And then he was like, "By the way, can you chat on Friday at 2 p.m. For a phone call?" I'm like, okay, cool. So that's when I thought, okay, I mean, he sent me a bunch of songs and, whatever, I think I got the gig. And Friday at 2 p.m. came by, and poor Brendan. Brendan was under a lot of stress at that time, like organizing the tour, like everything was very intense, and he already is an intense person, as you've seen in real life, But I remember like our call being, "Hey man, so many things have happened in the 24 hours. You wouldn't believe the amount of stuff that just happened. Yeah, things are so crazy." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Oh, but as of this point, I would like to hire you as the drummer for Wheatus. So it was kind of cool, yeah. And I was really happy. We began rehearsal shortly afterwards, and a few months later, I played my first show with Wheatus in Germany at a
Amazing.
festival in a little town called Trebure in front of 4,000 people. And that was like the first show, and boom, off to the races we went.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
Wheatus, it's such. You guys play insane. Like I love how you're all in the round and you can all see each other on stage. And
Yeah.
what I love is the crowd participation. When they just shout out songs. There's no set list. It's
That's
kind of
right.
just
Yeah,
anything really. It's great.
It definitely makes the live show time consuming to prepare for, right? 'Cause
Oh, totally.
the
Truffles
idea-
will always be my favorite song. Love it.
And I remember your uncle really likes that song too, right?
Yeah.
What's your uncle's name again?
Paul.
Paul, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul. Every time I've seen him at a concert, he's always like, "Yeah, Truffles first,"
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, no, it's Mark's favorite song as well. It's just the lyrics are just
Nice.
hilarious.
Love it.
It's been so good to have you on the show. Is there anything else you want to add?
That's kind of it. I wanted to say thank you again, Bron, for featuring me on the show. It's been great. I love following you on social media. I'm loving the new releases. I also saw that you have a
Thank
new
you.
tour planned. Like, what?
Yes. So
that- That's in January.
January, January
Cool, cool.
2022. Feels so weird. 2022. Where can people find you on social media?
Amazing. So I'm on social media under the username at Leo Freire Music, LeoFreire Music, and you can find me on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook. I even have a TikTok that I posted some videos on
Love
a
it.
couple months ago. I love TikTok. TikTok.
TikTok.
But yeah, hit me up. I'm always happy to chat with fans. If you have any questions about music or drumming or Wheatus or good tour food or traveling around the world, that's me right there. Yeah.
Love it. Leo, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bronnie.
This is Bronnie on KCC Live. Follow Bronnie everywhere at Bronnie Music.